In the vast expanses of the Milky Way, Earth was barely a blip on the radar of the Galactic Empire, a formidable force comprising countless advanced species. This empire ruled expansively, its influence stretching across star systems, leaving little room for the rise of a supposedly primitive species like humanity. Yet on Earth, amidst the bustling cities and rapid technological advancements, one man, Captain Marcus Raines, envisioned a different future. Marcus, a seasoned military strategist and now a rogue leader of a covert resistance, stood in his dimly lit office, poring over the latest surveillance data. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Jonah Pierce, entered with a brisk step. "Marcus, we've intercepted communications." "They're closer than we thought," Jonah said, his voice tense. Marcus looked up, his eyes narrowing. "Define close, Jonah." "Within striking distance of Mars." "They are not just scouting anymore." Jonah laid out the holographic star maps across the table, the red dots marking the Empire's fleet pulsing ominously. Marcus rubbed his chin, deep in thought. "It's time, then. Gather the team. We need to strike first and hard." Within the hour, Marcus's trusted circle was assembled in their hidden base, a repurposed industrial complex beneath the bustling streets of New Chicago. They were a diverse group: Dr. Ava Jen, a brilliant engineer, Commander Leo Barnes, a seasoned pilot, and several other key resistance fighters. "Here's the situation," Marcus began, his voice firm and compelling as he addressed the room. "The Empire thinks we're too primitive to pose any real threat. Today, we prove them wrong. Ava, I need your expertise on disabling their communications." Ava nodded, her eyes sharp with focus. "I can disrupt their signals, but it'll only buy us a window of about 30 minutes before they reroute." "That's all we need," Marcus replied. Leo leaned forward, his hands clenched. "I'll lead the aerial squadron. We'll need every fighter we can spare if we're going to make a dent." Jonah chimed in, "And ground forces?" Marcus turned to him, a strategic glint in his eye. "That's your domain, Jonah, sabotage and ground defense. Keep them from landing at all costs." The group nodded, understanding the gravity of their task. The meeting continued with each member contributing, refining their approach, and dissecting every possible outcome. They were not just planning an attack, they were orchestrating the first real challenge to the Empire's authority. As the meeting disbanded, Marcus pulled Jonah aside. "Keep an eye on everything. If this doesn't go as planned, it could end everything we've worked for." Jonah clapped Marcus on the shoulder, a grim smile on his face. "We won't let it come to that. We're ready." Night had fallen by the time preparations were complete. Marcus stood at the command center, his team positioned across the globe and in orbit, ready on his command. He gave Jonah a final nod and then opened the fleet-wide channel. "This is Captain Marcus Raines," he began, his voice echoing through the speakers of ships and ground units alike. "Today, we stand united, not just as survivors, but as defenders of our home. The Empire believes us weak, insignificant. Today, we show them how wrong they are. Strike with precision, strike with courage, for Earth." The battle that followed would be remembered as the beginning of humanity's stand against the Galactic Empire. As Marcus coordinated the attacks from his command center, each strike was a declaration: Earth was no longer just another planet to be conquered. It was a force in its own right, a united species ready to fight for its place in the cosmos. The stillness of space near Mars was abruptly shattered by the engines of stealth fighters, all remnants of Earth's once clandestine defense project. Under the cover of darkness, humanity's first offensive fleet, led by Commander Leo Barnes, navigated the narrow corridors of space, moving into attack positions. Back on Earth, in a bunker deep beneath the surface, Captain Marcus Raines watched the operation unfold on a series of screens, his team keyed into various communications channels, relaying updates relentlessly. "We're approaching the target," Leo's voice crackled over the comm, all ships switched to silent running, weapons hot. Marcus leaned forward, his gaze fixed on the screen showing the real-time position of their fleet and the unsuspecting alien armada. Beside him, Jonah Pierce monitored the tactical displays, his fingers poised over the controls that would deploy additional support if needed. "Marcus, all units report ready status," Jonah reported, his voice steady. Marcus gave a curt nod. On your command, Leo. A moment of tense silence enveloped the command center, broken only by the soft hum of machinery. Then, the voice of Leo Barnes filled the room once more, initiating strike now. The display lit up with bursts of light as the human fleet unleashed a barrage of advanced torpedoes and electromagnetic pulses, designed specifically to disable the alien tech without immediate destruction. Surprise was their greatest asset, and they exploited it fully. Direct hits on targets 1 through 5. Enemy shields are failing, Ava Jen announced, tracking the effectiveness of their weaponry from her station. Marcus watched as the alien ships began to drift, their systems overwhelmed by the sudden onslaught. Leo, press the advantage. Don't let them regroup. Roger that. Pushing forward, Leo responded. The screen showed the fighters swooping around the disabled ships, targeting vital systems to prevent any distress signals from escaping the engagement zone. In the ensuing chaos, Dr. Ava Jen coordinated with the tech teams, sending bursts of code to further disrupt the alien communications. I've injected the virus into their network. It will take them some time to isolate and eliminate it, she updated, her fingers flying over her console. Meanwhile, Jonah Pierce managed the defense squads, ensuring that any retaliatory fire was quickly suppressed. Ground teams are in position to intercept any debris or escape pods. We're keeping this clean, Marcus. As the battle progressed, Marcus knew that each moment they maintained the upper hand brought Earth closer to a semblance of safety. The element of surprise had been fully utilized, and now the reports flooding in spoke of a confused and scrambling enemy. Finally, Leo's voice came through with a tone of controlled triumph. Enemy fleet is neutralized. We've got total control of the zone. Marcus allowed himself a moment of relief. Good work, team. Let's start mop-up operations. We need to gather all the intel we can from their systems. Ava prioritized data extraction, coordinating with her remote units. On it, Marcus. We'll get everything they've got. As the team worked to secure their victory, Marcus turned to Jonah. Prepare for the next phase. They will retaliate, and we need to be ready. This is just the beginning. Jonah met his gaze, a fire of determination in his eyes. We'll be ready, Marcus. They underestimated us today. They won't make that mistake again. The victory was celebrated quietly among the ranks of Earth's defenders, but Marcus knew better than to relish in their success for too long. This was merely the opening gambit in what would become a protracted struggle for survival and sovereignty. Humanity had announced its defiance loudly and clearly. Now they had to prepare for the Empire's response. The Galactic Empire, humiliated and enraged by the unexpected defeat at the hands of Earth's fledgling forces, convened an emergency session of its High Command. In a stark, expansive command chamber decorated with the banners of 1,000 subjugated worlds, the Empire's top generals and admirals gathered to plot their retaliation. Humanity's audacity is unprecedented, growled Admiral V, his voice booming through the chamber. They are but primitives wielding stolen tech. We cannot allow this insult to stand. Around him, the chamber buzzed with the harsh whispers of agreement. The High Command was used to swift and brutal responses, crushing any hint of rebellion under their might. However, this was different. Earth had shown a level of strategic cunning that was unexpected. We will deploy the 7th Fleet, declared General Lanara, her tone icy as she projected a holographic map of the solar system. A direct assault. We will not underestimate them again. Back on Earth, the news of the Empire's mobilization reached Marcus through a network of covert surveillance satellites. The control room, usually a hub of strategic planning, fell silent as the reality of the imminent attack sank in. Marcus addressed his inner circle, his expression grim but determined. The Empire's response is on its way. We've shown them that we can fight, but now they'll come with everything they've got. Leo Barnes, who had barely had time to celebrate their previous victory, stepped forward. We've dealt them a blow, but our resources are still limited. We need a plan that maximizes what we have. Marcus nodded at Ava, who had been working non-stop on enhancing their defensive capabilities. Ava, what's the status on our orbital defenses? We've upgraded the platforms with the Empire's own weaponry we salvaged. They'll pack a punch, but against a full fleet. Ava paused, her concern evident. It's going to be a tough fight. Jonah, always focused on the tactical aspects, chimed in. We need to consider not just a direct defense, but also how to outmaneuver them. Hit-and-run tactics, guerrilla strikes, and keeping them off balance. Marcus listened intently, weighing each suggestion. We use what worked and improve on it. Leo, prepare the pilots for irregular warfare. We'll need to be unpredictable. Ava, keep working on those defenses. Jonah, start planning the ground resistance. I want every possible scenario covered. As Earth's defenders hustled to prepare, the Empire's 7th Fleet approached, a menacing array of warships that blotted out the stars. Admiral V, aboard the flagship. Invictus watched the planet grow larger on the view screen, his anger simmering beneath a cold exterior. Deploy the dreadnoughts, he ordered, his voice low and lethal. We'll burn their defenses from orbit, then land our troops. This rebellion ends today. The battle that ensued was unlike anything humanity had faced before. Orbital defenses flared as Ava's platforms engaged the incoming fleet. Massive explosions lit up the sky as the Empire's warships unleashed their devastating firepower. On the ground, Jonah's teams executed precise strikes against landing forces, using the terrain to their advantage in ways the Empire hadn't anticipated. Marcus, coordinating from the command center, directed the chaotic defense with an almost preternatural calm. Every decision, every movement of his forces was calculated to bleed the Empire's strength while preserving their own. Despite their best efforts, the Empire's overwhelming numbers began to take their toll. The skies above Earth were a maelstrom of burning wreckage, and on the ground, the situation grew increasingly desperate as more and more enemy troops made it through. We're being pushed back, Jonah reported, his voice strained over the comms. They've breached our second line of defense. Marcus clenched his fists, knowing the moment of decision was upon them. All units, fall back to the final defense perimeter. We're not done yet. As the Empire's forces closed in, Marcus knew they were facing the darkest hour. But as long as there was breath in their bodies, they would fight. Earth was their home, and they would defend it to the last. With a final glance at the holographic battlefield, Marcus steeled himself for the coming storm. This is not the end, he whispered to himself, determination hardening into resolve. This is just the beginning.